I'm 86 years old. My name is Frank. I worked at the same factory for 42 years. Punch press operator. I've been married to Linda for 58 years. We have 4 kids and 9 grandchildren. I don't have a lot of time left. My body knows it. My knees don't work right anymore. I get tired easy. Maybe I have 5 years. Maybe 10 if I'm lucky. But there's something I need to tell you before I go. Something I've been doing every single day for 48 years. 17,520 days in a row. I've never missed one. Every morning I learn a new word. I write it in a notebook. I look it up in the dictionary. I use it in a sentence. That's it. It sounds simple. It sounds maybe even stupid. An old factory worker learning big words you'll never use. But it saved my mind. And I'm going to tell you exactly why I started. And why you should start today. My father died in 1978. He was 71 years old. But he'd been gone for 3 years before that. Alzheimer's. I was 38 when he died. He'd been living with us for the last 2 years because he couldn't take care of himself anymore. He'd sit in the chair by the window and stare for hours. Not at anything in particular, just staring. The worst part wasn't that he forgot my name. The worst part was that he lost his words. My father was a talker. He told stories. He made jokes. He'd come home from a shift at the steel mill and tell my mother about his whole day, every detail. Who said what? Who did what? He loved words. But in the last 3 years of his life, the words disappeared. First the big ones, then the medium ones, then even the small ones. By the end, he couldn't finish a sentence. He'd start to say something and just stop. You could see him searching for the word. His mouth would move, but nothing would come out. He'd get frustrated. Then he'd give up. At the funeral, the priest said something I'll never forget. He said Frank's father may have forgotten the words, but he never forgot the love. Everyone nodded. It was supposed to be comforting, but I thought, no, that's wrong. When you forget the words, you forget how to express love. You forget how to tell your wife she looks nice. You forget how to ask your grandson about his baseball game. You forget how to say, I'm proud of you, or I'm scared, or I love you. You don't just lose words, you lose yourself. I was standing there at my father's grave, and I made a decision. I said to myself, I'm not going to let that happen to me. I'm going to keep my words. I'm going to learn new ones every single day. I went home that night and found an old notebook in the kitchen drawer. I opened the dictionary, one of those big, thick ones we had for the kids' homework, and I picked a word at random, melancholy. I wrote it down. I read the definition. I used it in a sentence. I felt melancholy at my father's funeral. That was March 15th, 1978. I've done it every day since. It started as a promise to my father, but it became something else. It became my routine. Every morning, before work, I'd sit at the kitchen table with my coffee and my notebook. 5 minutes. That's all it took. Pick a word, write it down, look it up. Use it in a sentence. Linda thought it was sweet at first. That's nice, honey. You're keeping your mind sharp. But after a few months, she'd see me with the notebook and say, still doing that? Not mean. Just surprised I was still at it. I kept going. The notebook filled up. I started a second one, then a third. Ephemeral. Resilience. Serendipity, arduous, words I'd never use at the factory, words that felt too big for my mouth. But I learned them anyway. I remember one morning in 1985, I was 45 years old. I'd been doing this for 7 years, 2,555 words. I was sitting at my workbench during lunch, writing in my notebook, and my buddy Tommy looked over. "What you always writing in that thing, Frank?" "Learning a new word." "A new word? What for?" "Keeps the brain working." He laughed, not mean, but like it was funny. "Frank, we punch metal for a living. You don't need fancy words to punch metal." Everyone at the table laughed. I laughed too. But I kept writing. For 30 years, that was my life. Wake up, learn a word, go to work, come home, kiss Linda, eat dinner, watch TV, go to bed, do it again. The notebook came with me everywhere. On vacation, to the hospital when the kids were born, to weddings and funerals. I never missed a day. I remember one particular Tuesday in 1995. Nothing special about that day, which is exactly my point. I was 55 years old. I'd been doing this for 17 years. Over 6,000 words. Linda was making breakfast. I was at the table with my notebook. The word that day was perseverance. She poured my coffee and said, "You know, Frank, you've been doing this for a long time." "Yep." "Does it help?" I looked up at her. "I don't know yet." She smiled. "Well, you're nothing if not persistent." "Perseverant," I said. "What?" "Perseverant. Today's word. It means persistent." She shook her head and went back to the stove, but she was smiling. That's what it was like, day after day, year after year. A small thing, a quiet thing, nothing dramatic. But I kept going, because I remembered my father, sitting in that chair, trying to find a word, not being able to. The look in his eyes. I wasn't going to let that happen to me. By the time I retired in 2008, I was 68 years old. 30 years of words, 10,950 words in 8 notebooks. My father was 68 when he stopped being able to talk. I was 68 and I knew the difference between ubiquitous and omnipresent. If you're thinking this sounds weird, you're right. It is weird. An old factory worker sitting at his kitchen table every morning learning words like juxtaposition and ambivalent. But here's what I learned. Your brain is like a muscle. If you don't use it, it goes soft. Society tells you that keeping your mind sharp means doing crossword puzzles or Sudoku. And sure, those are fine. But they're games. They're fun. Learning a new word every day isn't fun. It's work. It's discipline. But that's exactly why it works. I watched this happen with my friends. Guys I worked with for 30 years. Good men. Smart men. We all retired around the same time. And I watched them fade. Tommy, the guy who laughed at my notebook, he retired at 65. By 70, he was forgetting names. By 75, he couldn't remember what year it was. By 78, he was in a nursing home. Gone at 80. Another friend, Mike, retired at 62. Moved to Florida. Played golf every day. Watched TV at night. By 70, his wife told Linda that Mike couldn't follow a conversation anymore. He'd lose track, repeat himself. I'm not judging them. I'm really not. They worked hard their whole lives. They deserved to relax. But they stopped working their brains, and their brains stopped working. I didn't stop. Every morning, new word, even in retirement. Linda would say, "Frank, you're retired. You could relax. And I'd say, this is relaxing. This is 5 minutes a day. But why? You're not going to use these words. That's not the point. Then what is the point? The point is I'm choosing to use my brain every day on purpose. I do the same thing with my kids without realizing it. Not the words, but the pattern. My oldest son, Frank Jr., he's 55 now. Smart guy, runs his own business. But busy, always busy. Last Christmas, we were sitting in the living room and I asked him about a book I'd sent him 6 months ago. Did you ever read it? No, Dad. I've been too busy. Too busy to read. Yeah. Work, kids. I just don't have time. I didn't say anything. But I thought, you have time. You just don't use it. Now I see my grandkids, late 20s, early 30s, smart kids, but they're always on their phones, scrolling, videos, pictures. I asked my grandson Michael, what are you learning today? He laughed. I'm on TikTok, Grandpa. I know. But what are you learning? He couldn't answer because he wasn't learning anything. He was just passing time. And I get it. I'm not some old guy yelling about kids these days. But I see what's happening. You're all so busy, so distracted, so tired, and your brains are starving. Every day you don't learn something new. You're choosing to let your mind get a little softer, a little slower, a little closer to my father sitting in that chair. You think it won't happen to you. I thought that too. But then I watched my father forget my name. The difference between me and him wasn't genetics, wasn't luck. It was 17,520 choices, one every single day. So what do you do instead? Here's what I wish everyone knew. Number 1, learn one new thing every single day. It doesn't have to be a word. It can be anything. A fact, a skill, a name, something. But it has to be deliberate. You have to sit down and say, today I'm going to learn this. Not scroll past it, not hear it and forget it. Learn it. 5 minutes. That's all it takes. Start today, right now. Pick one thing you don't know. Look it up, write it down, use it. What you'll notice, your brain will wake up. You'll start seeing connections. You'll remember things better. Number 2, write it down. Don't type it. Don't save it on your phone. Write it with a pen. On paper. There's something about writing that makes your brain pay attention. I don't know the science, but I know it works. I have 12 notebooks now, 17,520 words. I can flip through them and remember the day I learned each one. Ephemeral, March 12th, 1982. Linda and I went to see the cherry blossoms. They only lasted a week. Tenacious. October 3rd, 1999. Day, my grandson was born 3 months early. Tiny. But he held on. Writing makes memories stick. Number 3, do it in the morning, before work, before breakfast, before anything else. Because if you wait until later, you won't do it. Something will come up. You'll get tired. You'll forget. Morning is when your brain is fresh. That's when you build the habit. I've been doing this for 48 years every morning. Before coffee. Before Linda wakes up. Before the day starts. It's mine. 5 minutes that belong to me and my brain. Number 4. Don't skip a day. Not one. Not ever. I've learned a word on Christmas. On my wedding anniversary. The day my mother died. The day my first grandchild was born. It's not about the word. It's about the commitment. It's about telling your brain we're not stopping, we're not slowing down. Discipline beats motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. Number 5, track it. Write the date next to each word. Keep count. Watch the number grow. When I hit 10,000 words, I felt something. Like I built something. A tower. Word by word. Now I'm at 17,520. That's 48 years. That's a life's work. And when I'm gone, my grandkids will have those notebooks. They'll see what their grandpa did every day for almost 50 years. Maybe they'll start their own. Number 6, don't make it complicated. You don't need an app. You don't need a system. You need a notebook and a dictionary. That's it. Complicated things don't last. Simple things do. Number 7, notice when your brain gets lazy and fight it. Your brain wants to coast. It wants to do what's easy. Watch TV. Scroll. Zone out. That's normal. But normal is how you end up like my father. When you catch yourself zoning out, stop. Get up. Do something that makes you think. Learn a word. Read a page. Have a real conversation. Don't let your brain go soft. Number 8, remember why you're doing this. I'm doing this because I watched my father disappear. I watched my brother disappear. Now I decided I'm not going to disappear. Every morning when I sit down with that notebook, I think about him. About the look in his eyes when he couldn't find the words. I think, not me, not today. Find your reason. It doesn't have to be Alzheimer's. It can be anything, but find it. Write it down. Remember it every day. Number 9, don't wait until you're old. I started at 38. I wish I'd started at 25. Or 18. Because the earlier you start, the more words you get. The more time you give your brain to build. If you're 30, you could learn 18,250 words by the time you're 80. That's more than I'll ever get. Start today. Don't wait. Number 10, share it with someone you love. I didn't tell anyone about my notebooks for years. I thought it was my private thing. But when I finally showed Linda, she cried. She said, "Frank, this is beautiful. This is you fighting for us, fighting to stay here." Now my grandkids ask me, "Grandpa, what's today's word?" And I tell them, and they write it down too. You don't have to do this alone. Bring someone with you. I think about my father every day, not the big moments, not the holidays or the birthdays. I think about the Tuesday afternoons when he'd sit in that chair and stare at nothing. When he'd try to tell me something and couldn't. When he'd look at me like he knew who I was, but couldn't remember my name. At his funeral, people said, "At least he's at peace now." But I thought, he's been gone for 3 years. His body just finally caught up. My brother died 5 years ago. He was 79. Same thing, dementia. In the last 7 years of his life, he didn't know who I was. I went to visit him in the nursing home a month before he died. I walked into his room and said, "Hey, Joey, it's Frank." He looked at me. No recognition, nothing. I sat down and pulled out my notebook. That day's word was irreversible. I said, "Joey, you know what I've been doing? Every day for 45 years, I learn a new word. Today's is irreversible. Means can't be undone, can't be changed back." He didn't respond, just stared. I kept talking, irreversible, like what's happening to you, like what happened to Dad. I don't know if he heard me, but I needed to say it. At his funeral, his son, my nephew, hugged me and said, "Uncle Frank, you've always been so sharp." Dad wasn't. What's the difference? I pulled the notebook out of my jacket pocket. I showed him the date, the word, 16,820 words at that point. I said, every day for 45 years, your dad watched TV. I learned words. He looked at the notebook. He started crying. Things aren't quite like they used to be, that simple, and that hard. I'm 86 years old. My father died at 79 without his words. My brother died at 79 without his words. I'm 86 and yesterday I learned evanescent. This morning I learned tenacious. Tomorrow I'll learn perpetual. My mind is still here. I can remember my grandkids' names. I can tell you what I had for breakfast. I can have a conversation without losing the thread. My father couldn't do that at 68. My brother couldn't do that at 68. My brother couldn't do that at 74. The difference. 17,120 words. 17,520 mornings sitting at a table with a notebook. No medicine. No magic. Just discipline. I still have the first notebook. March 15th, 1978. Melancholy. I remember writing it. I remember thinking, this is dumb. This won't matter. But it did. It mattered more than almost anything else I've ever done. Some nights I sit here and flip through those notebooks. 12 of them now. Thousands of words I've learned. Thousands of mornings I showed up. And I think, these words kept me here. Kept me present. Kept me. My grandkids come over and we play Scrabble. They Google words to make sure they're real. Half the time they're words I learned. They laugh. Grandpa, how do you know all these words? I tap the notebook, one day at a time. Last week, my youngest granddaughter, she's 14, asked if she could start her own word notebook. I bought her one. Wrote her name on the inside cover, wrote the date. Start today, I said. Don't skip. She learned resilient. I said, good word. I learned that one in 1981. My father lost his mind at 68. I'm 86 and I still have mine. As you're reading this, you still have yours too. Don't wait until you're old to start protecting it. Don't wait until you forget your kid's name to wish you'd done something. Start today, right now. Find a notebook. Pick a word. Write it down. Learn it. Use it. Tomorrow, do it again. And the day after that. And the day after that. For the rest of your life, it's 5 minutes. It's free. It's simple. And it works. Your brain is the only thing that makes you. You. The words you know. The thoughts you think. The memories you hold. Fight for it. Every single day. My father couldn't fight. He didn't know how. But I do. And so do you. Don't make my father's mistake. Start today.